What the fuck? I'm happy that didn't happen during the stream anyway. Bloody me PS5 cameras just flew off. Hello everyone, happy Saturday. A little bit late to the party because I was out last night for my birthday, but we have officially had the famous words of Fabrizio Romano. Here we go. And the first signing of the Ten Hag era has been completed, subject to a medical. It's only took us a month to get one player through the door, which is just mad if you ask me. But they look like they're starting to creep through the door now, which I suppose is a positive. I'm going to get your thoughts on the player himself soon, Shreyas, but how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing fairly well. Really excited because it never really looked like we were, able to get a deal done, especially, in this week itself. The way the De Jong deal, how much we stalled on that. And then the way, I think the way that, we've finished this deal off, we haven't really stalled it so that any other club could come in or, the deal could possibly, there could be a fee hike or a wage hike or something like that. So I think it was good that, we went in for a deal. We hijacked the deal basically from Lyon. And then, we went in, we were able to convince the player. And then, he decides to come here instead of another club. So I think a good deal, it just shows that, the player is also excited to, actually come to Manchester United.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that, at least we were able to, get someone in which the manager actually really wanted, because Ten Hag is actually a big fan of him.
Exactly. And we should rebrand ourselves as Hijack United, because by the looks of it, it looks like we're going to hijack the Lisandro Martinez deal. We'll touch on that a little bit later on. But yeah, we're robbing all these deals out here, which is, again, just madness. This window's been a little bit weird, to be honest. But yeah, for people who are unaware of what type of player Malacia is, or who he's played for, what his cat's mother's maiden name is, all that kind of stuff, we have gone in great detail. Shreyas, with that in mind, what type of player is Malacia? And where do you see him fitting in at Manchester United?
I think I possibly see him as one of those ball-playing left-backs, who's actually, really, really good with the ball at his feet. He likes to, make those 1-2s, go forward. He's blessed with a lot of pace as well, because I've seen him playing in the Eredivisie quite a bit. And another thing is that he's very, very good when it comes to his offensive ability, the way he pulls in those crosses, the way he's able to move forward with the ball, and he's actually really good with his instincts when he's around that when he's around the box of the opponent, rather than the way we've seen our players hesitating a lot when we are at the edge of the box, but no one really knows what to actually go for. So he's a really, really good player. He knows how to walk into those spaces, and like Ten Hag wants to actually create those overloads with his fullbacks in the flanking areas. He's one of those players who can do that job really, really well. So coming to how he would fit in at United, right now, Luke Shaw is, still recovering, I would say, from his injury. Just got treatment. So I would say, it would still take Luke Shaw, I would say, at least a month or so to, actually be able to get to 100% fitness. So it's good that we have someone who can actually, fill in those places and actually offer us something completely different to what Luke Shaw offers us. Because with Telles, it has always been the case that, him and Luke Shaw have been really, really similar as to what they offer on the pitch. The only difference being that Luke Shaw offers much more defensive stability than Alex Telles. But if you have to compare it as to what they offer offensively, it's really, really similar. So this guy is a completely different player than Luke Shaw when it comes to, the way he conducts his play on the pitch. And that's why I'm really glad that we finally, we've got a position where I would say we've got two decent players who are able to, offer us something completely different, makes us less predictable. And I mentioned it with Sam in the head-to-head, which we did with Telles and Malacia, and that he could actually be, really, really important in the games where we play against a low block, because he likes to, make those quick passes. He likes to move forward. He likes to be complimented on the overlaps. And against those low block teams, I would say that we do need, those players who, rather than just, playing the ball sideways, they're actually, pinging the balls into the box. And he's one of those players. So it's a good deal. Really glad that finally, we went in for someone that the manager actually really wanted, because when this window started,
that's the main point, isn't it? That's the main point. That the manager wants him. That's like
because
high on priority as well.
Yeah, and when this window started, there was no mention of Malacia. There was no mention. It was just Frankie De Jong or Anthony, Lisandro Martinez or Julian Timber.
Yeah.
There was no mention of this guy. And, suddenly, I would say, I think even Ten Hag, after, assessing, I think it was good that the preseason actually starting really well and the players are in for the training, because I think even he sensed that I do need someone who is able to actually offer me something offensively, especially of that left bank side. So then we went in for Malacia, out of the blue, completely out of the blue, hijacked deal. And I think the best part about everything is that this player actually wanted to come here. He chose us rather than going to the French league. So it's a good deal. And I'm really excited as to how he would, faring up against Luke Shaw when it comes to, competing for that left back position. Because I would still say that when this season starts, he could actually, have at least 3 to 4 weeks of games where, he would be starting, because I really don't know what the condition of Luke Shaw is right now. If he is fully fit, even if he's fully fit, is he ready to, actually start games for us? So there's a big question mark. So if he's, able to, take up this opportunity and actually play really well, we could finally see, a decent competition at left back. Because even when Luke Shaw had that wonder season, it wasn't a condition where I would say that Telles was actually playing really well as well. It was a situation where we were in a kind of a cloud where we could actually ask ourselves, is Telles good enough? Is Telles actually, a player who is at the level of Luke Shaw? Because that whole season, Luke Shaw played almost every single game for us and he was spectacular. So, but this season, I could say Luke Shaw, when he comes back, he would have to, obviously work on his fitness and actually, start delivering the performances that he delivered in the past few seasons. And with if Malacia actually performs really well as well, then we could have a really good competition and a good mix of players, who are in good form and ready to actually, hit the ground running whenever they're called up on the pitch.
Yeah. And there seems to be this misconception already amongst trolls on Twitter and stuff when they're already saying he's just another Wan-Bissaka or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But he has got a lot more in his locker offensively. If you've watched him for Feyenoord, the way he bombs up and down that left side, he's much more proactive than Wan-Bissaka is, in my personal opinion. So, and he's 22 years old, I think he is.
He's really young. He's really young.
Yeah, Dutch international as well, isn't he? Apparently.
Yeah.
So look, it looks promising. It's a signing Manchester United wouldn't usually do. It's someone you go out there, he's scouted in Europe. Ten Hag's obviously watched him numerous times in the Eredivisie and been really impressed with him. I think there was a video of him actually sat watching him saying, "Who's that kid?" to one of his coaches, and he's like, "Oh, it's Malacia, blah blah blah." He plays for him, so he's obviously kept a close eye on him. And as soon as he moved to United, he was like, "I know a kid who we can get for very cheap." Kind of waiting until Leon. It was weird because Leon kind of set the benchmark. I don't know if we're going to do this in further deals, but they kind of set the benchmark and was like 13 mil. And United have gone, all right, okay, we'll give you 15, just an extra 2 million. And they're like, right, yeah, sweep the ticket. But I think if United would have gone in initially without anyone doing business with the player, let's say, and just gone straight in, we probably would have been stung 25 million or something like that. Just knowing Manchester United in it.
Because, definitely, because even when you look at someone like a Manchester United coming in for an offer, obviously a team who is in the position of selling a player, they would actually hike the price a bit because they know that we've got the cash. They know that we aren't really great when it comes to making transfer deals, and we are used to overpaying for players. So I think keeping that in mind, if we are just paying 15 million for a player that the manager actually really wants and could actually make the case for being a starter for us week in and week out and develop under this manager, I think it's a really good deal because he's just 21 or 22, so he's got his best years still to come. I would say, I think for a fullback it should be around the 27 or a 28 age bracket where you could say that this guy is actually in his prime, so his best years are still to come.
Exactly.
So it's a really, really good deal.
When I did my scout report a few weeks ago, I was doing like Bastone, Gakpo, a few really talented players around Europe. And I always say, look, it's all good looking at assessing their ability and all this kind of stuff, but you want to know what kind of attitude they've got, how hard they're working, if they really want to come to the club. This is what I'll always say. And that's when you'll get 110%. That's why Alex Ferguson always played Gary Neville, even up until like 2010. when you could tell he was dropping off. It's because you know you're going to get 110% commitment every single game. And I think he's got that kind of attitude. I think he's called in the Eredivisie the Pitbull because he's just a monster up and down that left-hand side. That's literally his nickname. So it's exciting to have someone like that walk through the door. And I think Luke Shaw will get a bit of a shock because Tellez was decent competition for him. Obviously, remember when he first came in, Luke Shaw's levels went like that, didn't it? And he kind of sustained that for a year or so, but then he dropped off. With this young player coming in theory, he's only going to get better and better and better and develop more and push up into that left-back spot. Potentially, just because of the way Ten Hag wants to play, I think he'll fit the system more. Early days to start saying he's going to be a starter and stuff, blah blah blah. But I think in the Europa League and Cup games, he can really excel and then show what kind of level he can get to. The question I wanted to ask you was, what happens now to Alex Telles and Brandon Williams?
If I'm going to be honest with you, I think if Telles stays, then he isn't really going to. I don't really see him making a appearance in important games or big games. I would say in the Prem even. Cup games he could still feature, but I really don't see it happening. Brandon Williams could still be, I think he could still be kept because he's still very, very young. And he could offer us, squad depth when it comes to our fullback positions because he can play off the left as well as the right. So it's still a big question mark as to if we are actually keeping Aaron Wan-Bissaka for next season, because if we are not keeping him for the next season, then we've got Dello and Brandon Williams, who are both really young. They've got big room for development, and they've got a manager who likes to, complement attacking fullbacks who are able to, pass the ball out, are good with the ball at their feet. So I can see him keeping Brandon Williams, but I see that, he's definitely going to sell Telles, because if we've already got Luke Shaw, we've already got Malacia now, and except that, we've got Brandon Williams and we've got Diogo Dalot, and all of these fullbacks can play of the left hand side as well. Brandon Williams as well as Dalot can actually play off the left as well. So I don't see him ranking high above any of them on that pecking order. So I think for him, it would be a good move to actually move elsewhere, because if he's put on the market, I could still see clubs actually coming in for him, and I would still say that we can easily make 15 to 20 million off him easily.
Yeah. Do you think it's a weird one, because I feel like United wouldn't sanction this deal if they hadn't already had someone else in place to come and buy it? That it doesn't seem like a United thing to do, because we've got so many left backs now. You said Malacia, Telles, Shaw, Brandon Williams coming back from loan on Norwich as well. Surely one of them, there's a deal in place for one of them to go. I don't know why United would sanction it, because if we don't sell him, what are you going to do with 4 left backs? You're going to loan Brandon Williams back out again? Are you going to loan Alex Telles? Like, it just doesn't make sense financially. So I hope they've got a deal in place, because if you can bring in, I think we spent, was it 50 million on Telles? Something like that? 20 million. So you're literally bringing in the money you just paid for Malacia, basically. Yeah. So if we could do that, then I'll be happy with that.
I think potentially one of the biggest factors about Telles could also be, featuring in the World Cup, because the World Cup is just round the corner now, and these players, we all know that Telles, and even when players like Andreas Pereira, when they're mentioned, they actually want to feature in the World Cup, and if they do really want to feature, then they definitely need to start games. And if Telles stays at United, I don't see him making the case for the World Cup. And if he wants to play in the World Cup, he's definitely going to move elsewhere.
That's kind of the motive for a lot of players now. I think that's why you just see Dean Henderson go out to Nottingham Forest, because I always said at the time, it doesn't seem like a club he would go to. If we didn't have the World Cup this year, I don't think he would have gone to Nottingham Forest. I think he would have held out and waited for either an opportunity.
I think if the World Cup didn't happen this year, we could have actually got Timber in as well.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Louis van Gaal, I'm surprised Louis van Gaal had a whisper in Malacia's ear as well and said, "Are you sure you might go? Because you might start blah blah blah, all that kind of crap." But yeah, I know you and Sam actually did as you mentioned before, the head-to-head with Malacia and Telles. What areas did Malacia excel in over Telles for viewers who haven't seen that video?
Yeah. I think when it comes to, his clean sheets, they were way well over Telles. Yeah. Because Telles just kept 4 clean sheets in 21 appearances last season. Except that, another factor was his ground and aerial duels. He actually, surpassed Alex Telles in both of those by a landslide. And except that, errors leading to goal and his positional sense, they were both better than Alex Telles as well. And one of the biggest factors that came into consideration was his passing accuracy. His passing accuracy is actually really, really well, because when you see him play, he isn't, because for our fullbacks, the passing accuracy is high because we play a lot of sideways passing, and it happened a lot this season against Leicester, against Crystal Palace, against Brighton. We do a lot of sideways passing. So it is, it is evident that our fullbacks will have a higher passing accuracy rate because that's the way we play. But if you compare it to Malacia's, they don't play sideways passing. They play it more central when it comes to the Dutch league. And he's completely, even with that, his passing accuracy is, I think, almost equal to Alex Telles's. And I think that's a big dub for him if he's actually, able to pull off these stats. But I think, except that, crossing was pretty much similar when it comes to both of them crossing.
And that's what Telles is known for as well, isn't it? Like, he's...
when we actually got him, that was one of the biggest reasons we got him. That he's an attacking fullback and he can actually put in those crosses. But I would still say that for Telles, one of the biggest question marks coming into United was, will we be playing that kind of football where he would be given the license to actually exploit that flanking position and ping in those crosses? Because when we
I think he's more of a wing back, Telles, in my personal opinion. I think, like Alonso for Chelsea, when he's in a back five, looks comfortable, and then he moves.
When we actually got him, he was linked with Chelsea and as well. And I actually, thought that if Chelsea got him, it would be a really, really good deal for them, because they were pretty much just looking for a left wing back who could play more offensively, because Alonso's best years are far behind him. So, but he chose us, came in for about 12 and 15 million, but hasn't really worked out for him. And this was a guy we actually got in when he was in his prime. So if you keep that in mind as well, it's been it's been a little underwhelming. But with the age, I would still say that Malacia is edging Alex Telles, at least for now.
Definitely, I think towards the back end of the season, no one really thought wing backs being an issue, did they? Everyone was on like the midfield and then strikers and blah blah blah. And then towards the back end of the season, like the last few games, or say the last 5-6 games, it really highlighted the Arsenal game. Like the positioning was all over the place, and then the last few games after that, like they kept getting caught, especially Telles. Telles was like, his defensive position is shocking, absolutely shocking. And you just said then in the stats, Malacia was higher than Telles in that aspect, and that's one thing Malacia is known for not being the best at times. His decision making, or his position in certain senses, and that's still better than Telles. So that shows how bad Alex Telles is. I've always said it defensively, like he's not good enough. He's nowhere near good enough.
I think with defense, if you just compare it defensively, I think one of the things is that even Malacia, he still has some question marks over his defensive capability. But what he does, one of the things that he does is he's really, really aggressive. So if he actually loses out on a battle, he goes in for a crazy sliding tackle. So even if, he makes a mistake, he's able to break up the play for a few minutes, and that pretty much, eliminates a counter attack or something like that. With Telles, the situation is, if he gets done by a player, he's just simply standing on the byline and just watching as to what's going on.
I can't remember what game it was, but that I wish I could remember what game it was. But I remember that exact instance. Someone just skipped by him, and he was done for. He was toast. Like, he could not keep up with the play at all.
I think it was Mahrez.
It might have been something like that, but it was like 30 yards away from him, and I was just like, "You've been done here, mate." Like, it doesn't suit the Premier League. It's not. It's one of them. But he's Malacia's strengths, which is why I think he'll suit the Premier League: tackling, recovery pace, and athleticism. Like, his energy up and down that all the time. That is what you look at Robertson. One of his main attributes is how much he can get on that bike up and down that left-hand side and keep the width as well, which is important for players, especially like Sancho, like cutting in, being inverted. If you hold that width on the left-hand side, you create space then for that. City do it all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he develops into it tactically.
I think another factors as to why it works for City and Liverpool is that whoever they start off that left back side, they're able to, offer them the same quality for the entire 90 minutes. It's not a situation where, you would see that the quality has dropped off after the 65th minute mark. They are able to, completely keep the game on. They're able to, switch on their players, and they keep it the same way for the entire 90. That's another thing where we've seen us struggling this season is that we are, we try to play good football. We are able to maintain that momentum for about 60 to 65 minutes, but then after the 65-minute mark, we completely lose and we completely throw the game away.
Yeah, the one way I would describe it, right? So if you've got an orchestra, yeah, so say we're Manchester United, this is another analogy for you. We've got a left-hand side, we've got our violins, all that kind of stuff. They're like, you wouldn't say perfectly in sync, but they're doing well. They sound nice.
Yeah.
Come towards the middle, there's just a guy with a triangle tapping it. Don't have a fucking clue what he's doing. And then the right-hand side's kind of non-existent. Maybe you've got someone with a little banjo or a little guitar or whatever kind of out of tune. So not everyone's in sync together. I always say for Manchester United, we're very one-dimensional. We attack down the left a lot.
Yeah.
And if teams shut that out, we don't really have much more, to do. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if it's because the right-hand side, we've always got different players playing there. We never have the same consistent partnership. So it'd either be like Dalot with Langer or Rashford and Wan-Bissaka. Like, you never had that partnership. So the right-hand side has never been a threat. That is something we need to develop. And I think the more players we bring in, the more equal and more balanced that'll be out. The more players you bring in to suit that system. I just want to bring in some stats on Malacia. So according to Optadata, he's been dribbled past only 0.7 times per 90 minutes.
Yeah.
In the campaign he played for Feyenoord, which is pretty impressive. And if you compare him to Owen Windal of AZ Alkmaar, the kind of Netherlands gold standard at left back, Malacia's expected goals contributions per 90 minutes, 0.18, just short of the player I just mentioned then, 0.21, according to them stats. So that's very interesting. Shows again both offensive flair and defensive flair is capable. Really young, talented player, and I am excited. But yeah, are you excited for this, Shreyas? Is it because obviously we didn't expect it. It's not one of the big names. It's not a De Jong. It's not like an Eriksen or anyone like that. But sometimes these kind of signings, we always discuss it on our shows, and we say when you bring a player, it's almost more exciting because you don't know that much about him.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And I would say that, these are the players that would actually, they are the deciding factors for a team to, actually make that edge towards a trophy. Because when you actually bring in a player for about 60 to 65 million, you expect a basic level of quality from those players. Like if we bring in De Jong, we expect, basic quality and basic traits from him. If we bring in Antony, we expect the basic from him. Even if, we manage to bring in Darwin Núñez or Tchouaméni, we would expect them to, offer us the basic quality that a striker or a midfielder has to offer. But with him, because it's a really, really smart deal, 15 million. I would say most of the fan base don't really know about this guy. So he's still one of those mystery players, I would say. And when these mystery players do work out, they are able to offer us a lot. And we've seen that, in our history as well, when we've been able to, make these kinds of signings, they have turned out amazingly well for us. And if this guy, he's still fairly young, and if he's able to, offer us, I would still say, even 50% of what Luke Shaw actually offered us in his miracle season, I would say, then I think we pretty much sorted of that left bank side. Yeah,
perfect. So Tyrell I always pronounce his bloody Malacia, I think it is. Tyrell Malacia is kind of through the door, subject to a medical. We're kind of waiting on that. So that's the first official signing of the Ten Hag era. I want to touch on very quickly Lisandro Martinez, who we've spoken about before numerous times on the show. Seems to be a bit of a bidding war at the moment between us and Arsenal. His preference definitely seems to be Man United. He seems keen to link back up with Erik Ten Hag. But again, there's some rumours. I want to see what you think about this. There's some rumours like he's going to be brought in as a DM. He might not play as a centre back. This is what Ten Hag might be thinking. My personal opinion, I don't think he's got the I think he's got the capabilities to play there, but I don't think he's got the engine and the spatial awareness. I don't. He's played there before, but it's not like he can do a job there. Do you know what I mean? It's not like a specialist.
I think it would be a similar situation. It would be a similar situation to what Scott McTominay has done, because the difference just being that he would prove much better. But he isn't, you can't expect him to be like AC Milan had Kessie last season. He was, like a complete beast and a complete engine in that midfield. So that's not the player that he could be. But these rumors, I think Erik Ten Hag might be thinking, why not just, play with Man United, the board of Man United for a little bit. Get us, tell them that I would play a centre back at a defensive midfielder spot, get the deal done, then throw Maguire out of the club and play him at centre back.
I think I've just got this feeling I feel like he might play Lisandro Martinez and Maguire together. I don't know why. I've got this feeling he might play them together because Varane, as much as he's a decent centre-back and probably the best centre-back we've got at the club, injury-wise, it's only probably going to get worse, and you can't have consistency in a partnership. As good as he is, don't get me wrong, I really like Varane.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he can stay fit. It's, it's not all the realms of possibility. It can happen. Maybe he can stay fit for a year. But judging off last season alone, he kept getting injured, and it was just so frustrating because then we go, right, well, what we do now, we go back to plan B and we put Lindelof and Maguire back in. Or it might be Lindelof and Lisandro Martinez.
Yes.
Then the only reason why I say it'll be Maguire is because of the height. If you've got Lindelof, who's 5'11" or 6 foot, and then you've got Lisandro Martinez, who's 5'8", I think he is. In the Premier League, if you're coming up at set pieces, you've got Marco Van Dijk and Matip and people like that. I just don't see it working aerially. I think you need someone who's really dominant in the air and someone who's really good on the ball, and you need a bit of a blend of both. That's just my opinion. But what do you think the centre-back partnership would be?
I think it could be, for me, if Lisandro Martinez does come in, I see Varane and him being the starting centre-backs. But except that, I do see Lindelof being in there, because even if you make the case for Harry Maguire being a threat in the air, he doesn't really do that anymore for us. For like the last complete whole season, Harry Maguire lost out on every aerial battle I could imagine. He got spun out by a player called Armando Broja, who was on loan at Southampton from Chelsea. Almost every single game he played, he was able to dish out like 100 to 150 memes. Especially, I mean, the goal that Atletico Madrid in the first leg did with João Felix actually, making that header from basically just piercing through him and jumping above his head and going for that goal. I mean, I would still say Lindelof is much better if I have to compare it to Maguire, because right now I would still say that rather than just offering them free slates or fresh slates, I would say why not just judge them on their campaign in this international break. So right now I would still say that Harry Maguire in this international break hasn't really surprised me or pulled off an insane performance where I could say that he's coming back to his best. But if you look at Ronaldo's performance, you would say that this guy's completely got his engine on. He's definitely ready for next season.
Do you think? Sorry to interrupt you there, Shreyas. Do you think it's out of the realms of possibility though that Harry Maguire is a constant in the team next season? Would you completely rule it out?
If the captaincy gets changed, then yes.
Yeah. Do you think it will be?
Gets changed, then yes.
Because what's the right time to change the captaincy?
No.
Right, what's right now? So before pre-season. No, I mean as a manager, if you're thinking about it, like if you do it right at the start of the season, maybe that could derail little things. You get the media jumping on your back.
That's why I would say before the season starts.
Yeah, you'd want to do
it before the pre-season. Just do it right about now, because like players like Malacia coming in, players like De Jong, players like whoever, Anthony or Lisandro Martinez, whoever has to come in. I would still say that if they come in and they look at someone like a Ronaldo who is a captain, it would actually motivate
Inspire
them to pull off some. Yeah, exactly, because he still carries that aura. Whenever you see him on the pitch, he definitely carries that aura to elevate.
And Maguire doesn't.
I mean, if Malacia comes in and looks at Harry Maguire, he would say, "I'm far better than this guy in the World Cup. I'll chop him into bits." I mean, I would still say that this is the perfect time to do that, because if the preseason happens, then we raise the captaincy issue again. It would still be a conversation where there would be 2 to 3 contenders, and it would be dragging on. The season would start, first 2 games happen, either win or lose. Then obviously the things that happen, that there are groups in the locker room because of the captaincy. So rather than making that situation happen, why not just declare the new captain right now before the preseason starts, because that would set the I would say the stable leader for this locker room, because we've struggled with keeping the locker room intact last season.
Yeah, definitely. I think the next 2 to 3 weeks are going to be really interesting, really interesting, especially in regards to the captaincy issue, the preseason, how we see a glimpse of how Ten Hag wants to set up. We've got De Jong now, who we're just waiting on personal terms. You've got Lisandro Martinez, who just mentioned then. We're putting in a bid for 37 million plus add-ons, I think, and he's favoured to join United. So that looks like it's going to happen. I know Christian Eriksen's waiting for to see who walks through the door, who we sign. I think if we get them players through the door, De Jong, Martinez and Malacia, as a player, you'd look at that and think, right, they really want to improve as a team. So I think Eriksen will like that idea. I think he'll eventually end up joining. Is there any more missing? We've got Malacia, De Jong, Eriksen, and Lisandro Martinez. That's 4 in it.
Anthony.
Right? But I don't see that. I've said for the past few weeks on Real Red Talk that I don't think we'll get that deal done. Especially when Ajax have sold so many players. They've sold Haller,
exactly,
Mazarawi, Gravenbach, Lisandro Martinez is supposed to be on his way out. I'm sure they sold another player as well. Like I think Alvarez as well is keen to leave. So that's all. It's like 6 players from a team, and they're putting a price tag on Antony now for like 80 million euros. So I don't see us getting Antony personally. I really don't. I think we might go for a player again.
They sold Neres as well, I guess. They sold Neres as well. David Neres. Yeah, I think they sold him as well. So that's pretty much more than half of their starting 11 last season gone.
Yeah, I was saying to my friend the other day, Ajax and Benfica, Porto, these kind of clubs are just getting all of the players just like ransacked and then they've got to rebuild again.
Sporting.
Like all their players just get taken and then they've got to rebuild again. But they could, because they've got like a conveyor. But AS Monaco, another example as well, like a selling club. They produce wonderful talents, but they can never keep them, which must be frustrating as a fan to a certain extent because you only get it up to top level.
Most of Monaco's players are pretty much in the Premier League right now. You look at Fabinho, Bernardo Silva, even Anthony Martial.
Even though Mendy's, done what he's done, but these teams, they have wonderful conveyor belts of talents. You're just constant. But they can never get to a top level because they're always selling the best players. Like, can you imagine if they just kept the good players that they had? Like, they'd be like going far in the Champions League.
If they were able to, hang on to Bernardo Silva, Fabinho, and Kylian Mbappe, I would see Monaco being a completely different team because still Tchouaméni being in there as well. So it would be a completely different ballgame.
Exactly. But yeah, guys, let us know what you think about Tyrell Malacia, if you're excited about the signing, if you've seen much of him before. Really interested to know what you guys think. I think me and Shreyas are both on the same level when we say we're excited to see how he works. Under Ten Hag, it's a player Ten Hag really wanted, so that's really important. I think that's the main point. Obviously, the deals I just mentioned, then you've got Lisandro Martinez, bid kind of pending, 37 plus add-ons, De Jong waiting for personal terms, and Eriksen waiting to see kind of what's happening. But yeah, out of the players I've just mentioned there, Shreyas, very quickly, who you're most excited for, would you say?
Martinez, because right now I'm actually, looking forward to a player who's actually, proven himself to be capable enough to play in a back four. Is one of the products of the Erik ten Hag's success at Ajax. And, if you're I would still say that, if you're in a running for a player against Arsenal, it definitely makes that deal exciting in the first place because right now we both have pretty much the same thing to offer. That is the Europa League. But I would still say for a player to come in, if Martinez in his clear mind, I would say, why would you pick Arsenal instead of Manchester United? Because even if, we pretty much had the worst season in our history of the Premier League and we were still 6th, and Arsenal pretty much had one of their best seasons in this past decade and they were still just, able to make the case for Europa League and bottled it in the end against Tottenham. So I would still say that if we have to offer the same things that Arsenal has to offer, I would pretty much comfortably say that this guy is coming to Manchester United. Plus, with Ten Hag being with us, it gives us an edge over them. So I would say Martinez.
They've had 2 deals hijacked now. They was in for Rafinha. Now Rafinha's either Barcelona or Chelsea. They're in for Lisandro Martinez. Now it looks like he's going to come to us. They have made decent signings. Gabriel Jesus, I think, is a really good signing for them for 40 odd million. I think that is really good. I can't think. They've signed a few more players as well, but I can't think of who was off the top.
Pablo Vieira. Vieira guy as well.
Pablo Vieira from Porto, which is like the B-Tech. Like the manager of Palace, basically. They're trying to replace Vieira. They're trying to get that nostalgia back. Let's see how he does. I haven't heard much about him, to be honest.
In this window, if I have to, rank which teams have done the best business, I would say first definitely have to be Spurs. After that, I would say Newcastle have been doing some really good business, like getting players in like Botman. I think they're really, really tough signings. And except that, I would say Man City have been really good with their deals as well because they've got Calvin Phillips for a really good price. They've got Alvarez as well for a really good price. They've got Haaland pretty much for his release cost, which is about just 60 million. So, and we are going to be going in for Frankie de Jong for 85 million. So if you have to compare it, like that, I would say Man City have done like amazing business.
Can I just say as well, Liverpool, right? Never spending over 80 million for a player. Just got Nunes 80 plus 20. Never paying a player more than 200k.
Yeah.
Just give Salah a contract extension. Like, come off it. Anyway, let's wrap it up, Shreyas. So yeah. I imagine in the near future, guys, we're going to be going live for some transfers. Probably in the next 5 days, I'd say either De Jong or Eriksen or something like that's going to get announced. So we'll be going live for that. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and like the video if you've appreciated this content. And thank you to my wonderful co-host, Shreyas, for joining me. And we'll both see you in the next one, guys. Take care. Have a lovely weekend. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.